It's me, Andrea Reynolds, aka the Social Studies Whisperer. I'm coming to you this Labor Day weekend from scenic Asheville, North Carolina. I hope you're having a great holiday so far. A big welcome to episode 5 of my weekly Top Hits show. I'm coming to you every weekend with 3 historical events that occurred so that you can plan ahead. I'll feature helpful ideas for integrating literacy, technology, and supporting all learners. These fun facts can be your saving grace in those transition moments, bus call, or the makings of morning work. I'll be including significant events from across the spectrum, including things like Born on this Day, battles, inventions, sports, scientific achievements, pop culture, music, the arts, and more. I'm trying my best to find lesser-known facts instead of just stating the obvious. For example, Labor Day itself will not be covered in this week's show. Okay, we all know where to find resources for major U.S. holidays. I prefer untold tales and discovering fun facts that I really didn't know that much about that I think are interesting. If you follow the link in the video description to each week's blog post, you will find direct links, even more description for these historical happenings, and a quick fact for the rest of the week, too. This week's fun facts include a presidential assassination. That's not very fun, but it's a fact for this week. You can find all previous episodes in my Instagram profile. Okay, let's get started with the top hits for September 3rd through 8th. Top hit 1 happened on September 4th, 1886. It was the day that Apache leader Geronimo surrendered to U.S. troops for the last time. Geronimo was the instigator of multiple raids on the Mexican U.S. government after the murder of his family by Mexican troops. He was forced to return to a reservation time and time again. Geronimo was not going down without a fight, though. Actually, lots of them. He was chased into Mexico in March 1886 and forced to surrender. He escaped and carried on his mission. Then, on this day in 1886, General Nelson Miles finally got the upper hand and forced the fierce leader to surrender near the Arizona-New Mexico border. He and his fellow Apaches were sent to Florida, then Alabama, and finally Oklahoma. This event is significant because it marked the end of the so-called Indian Wars out west. This meant it was safer for settlers to hit the road to get their manifest destiny on. What I think is interesting is that Geronimo ended up writing an autobiography after converting to Christianity, and he even attended Teddy Roosevelt's inauguration in 1905. Westward expansion and the building of the Transcontinental Railroad is something that can be analyzed from multiple points of view and perspectives. I use Windows Notes to have students respond. I previously mentioned this strategy during episode 1. In case you missed it, it's a note-taking method that involves students responding with facts, feelings, questions, or connections. You can give students specific prompts or general ones like you see below. I also have them use the 6 hats thinking strategy, where you think about a problem from various points of view and frames of reference. It was a powerful critical thinking activity because it forced students to think about things in a way that they may not normally. You can find out more in my 6 hats blog post, which is linked in this week's weekly show companion post. Okay, I think it would be interesting to have students compare and contrast the experiences of Geronimo, Sitting Bull, and Chief Joseph. Chief Joseph's speech, "I will fight no more forever," makes an impactful close reading passage too. You can also discuss assimilation and how that relates to people of other cultures in present-day America, trying to fit in versus displaying their heritage boldly and proudly. This can be a challenging thing for students once they get to upper elementary and beyond. Next up is Top Hit 2. Now, World War I isn't as popular as World War II. America was only involved from 1917 to 1918, and there isn't as much of a connection since there wasn't an incident like Pearl Harbor. Normally, I'm all about the people and storytelling aspect of historical eras. However, it's important to note that the technological advancements were a turning point for modern warfare. Also, you probably will have 1 or 2 students that totally geek out over this kind of stuff and find this fascinating. Not to stereotype, but it's usually some of your boys. On September 6, 1915, the first prototype for a tank was developed. Any guesses for what country developed it? It was not the U.S., as we were isolationists at the time. It was the British. By 1917, the improvements had been made to leverage tanks as a force to be reckoned with. By 1919, images of tanks were becoming more widespread, even being included in recruiting posters such as this one. Sorry, allergies up in here. Obviously, tanks are still an integral part of U.S. military efforts. You could have students make a timeline or book of advancements to the tank over the past 100 years. I found out about the coolest animated website many years ago that explores trench warfare along with tanks. You have to jump through a few hoops to use it, like making sure you have a flash player and clicking on your state. Now, I know it works for Georgia or North Carolina, so just click on those if it doesn't work for your state. Make sure you check out the blog post for the link because it's kind of hard to find. Also, if you need resources for World War I, make sure and check out my Teachers Pay Teachers store, the Social Studies Whisper, because I have multiple resources. I've got a picture dictionary, vocabulary cards, a choice board, and Christmas in the Trenches web quest. P.S. There's a vocabulary unit for World War I. You know me, I love my FloCab. Once again, I'm not a paid affiliate, just a FloCab MC educator, aka brand ambassador. You can even start exploring with a free trial. Okay, so I just referenced recruiting posters, and we saw America's Favorite Uncle on the screenshot of the World War I vocabulary unit. Well, what a perfect segue to Top Hit 3. On September 7th, 1813, the U.S. is nicknamed Uncle Sam. Yep, you heard me right, 1813. During the War of 1812, a meat packer from New York named Samuel Wilson supplied beef to the Army. On the barrels, Wilson stamped the letters U.S. soldiers started referring to as Uncle Sam. It was U.S. That's because they commonly gave the nickname Uncle Sam to the meat. Years later, political cartoonist Thomas Nast developed the image of the patriotic garb wearing Uncle Sam that we think of today. It was during World War I that his "I want you" for the U.S. Army catchphrase became widely used. Have students compare and contrast the use of other characters such as Rosie the Riveter and Captain America in their origin stories, or have students research the evolution of Uncle Sam over the years. Here's an image of him in 1898. Okay, so I have a funny kids say the darndest thing story involving Uncle Sam. A few years ago, when I was teaching 5th grade back in Metro Atlanta in Georgia, one of my students asked if Uncle Sam and Rosie the Riveter were married. Yeah. I further explained that neither one was a real person, so no. So be prepared for this misconception, haha. But how cool of a power couple would that have been, though? I'm surprised the government didn't think of this and like hiring actors to portray them and using it as a way to sell war bonds. This wraps up the top hits of September 3rd through 8th. Don't forget to check the link in the description to read the blog post and sign up for a weekly reminder at bit.ly/sshooks. You'll find my free lesson hooks cheat sheet too. But wait, there's more. Are you in my Facebook group for teachers called Social Studies Salute? I'd love to have you. I recently uploaded the PDF with the clues and answers for the World Class Mistake Makers bulletin set I made. I'm grateful to all the teachers on Instagram and in my group who offered help with that, so it only felt right to share. Thanks for watching, and be sure to let me know if you used any of these ideas, and I will see you next Sunday for episode 6.